We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing examiner on April 13th, 2021. We serve in both a decision-making capacity and an advisory capacity to the mayor and city council. There are two types of public hearings that this commission conducts. The first is a legislative hearing whereby we formulate recommendations on certain land use requests. Our recommendations are then forwarded onward to the city council, who makes decisions on legislative matters. The second type of hearing is a quasi-judicial in nature, meaning that the requests are specified to a parcel of land. We are authorized to make decisions on requests for special use permits, variances, and planned unit developments that do not involve the subdivision of land. However, any decision that we make tonight is by no means final. Anyone that believes that he or she has been aggrieved by our decision has the right to file an appeal to the city council. On quasi-judicial requests, that involves the subdivision of land, rezones, and annexation, we are authorized to make only recommendations to the city council, who will make the final decision. The hearing procedures are as follows. Number one, the staff will first present a report on the application. Number two, the applicant or the applicant's representative will then present the summary of the request. Number three, testimony of those in support will be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. Number four, and finally, we will allow the applicant's rebuttal. After the rebuttal testimony is given, public testimony is closed, and no new oral or written testimony will be allowed unless the members vote to reopen the testimony. Time limits for the applicant is 10 minutes. Those in favor, 5 minutes. Those neutral, 5 minutes. Those opposed, 5 minutes. And rebuttal, 5 minutes. We accept oral and written testimony from those in attendance, but only if you have signed the sign-up sheet available at the front of the room. When testifying before us, you must come to the podium, state your full name and address, state your full name and address, and be prepared to be sworn in. And we will probably have a swearing in beforehand, and you can just state that you have been sworn in. One final note, if you are here tonight and you are angry, that's okay, but please don't take your anger out on us. There are times when it is difficult to remain apart from the emotional testimony, but we are charged by law to keep a clear record of the proceedings, consider factual testimony, and to stay within the city's rules and regulations. We thank you for your courtesy to us and to others as we move through the process. Reminder those testifying, please state your name, your address, and acknowledge that you have been sworn in. We have a roll call.
Nelson?
Here.
Water?
Here.
Lamar?
Here.
Harmon?
Here.
Hunziker?
And are there any disclosures by the members of that? Okay. Any conflicts of interest or site visits? Okay. I'd like to swear in those.
Anybody who is planning to testify, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, so the first item of business is to approve the minutes of the February 9th, 2021 meeting. We have a motion to approve. And a motion, second, all in favor? Aye. See, no old business, new business. The first item on the agenda tonight is case number AMD 2021-01. The applicant is seeking the existing development agreement for North Ranch Business Park Phase 1, specific to parcel R35276100, modifying the truck routing schematic, the cross-access easement, public bicycle or pedestrian access, traffic mitigation, placement of the concrete patio area, amenities and landscape area, exterior guidelines and design of the structures and issues relating to a building permit for AT Industrial Company. Can we have a staff report?
Mr. Chair, Jerome Mapp, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I recognize I've been sworn in. The request this evening, as you mentioned, is the applicant is seeking to amend element C of the existing development agreement, North Ranch Business Park, by modifying the conditions, as you mentioned, at the beginning of this session. I do want to mention that we have Aaron Lake representing the development. Remind that he has not been sworn in yet, so he would have to be sworn in before he begins his presentation. The North Ranch was approved last year, which is located on 2026 and the corners and Smead. The parcel we're looking at is approximately 30 acres. And it's one section of a 90-acre parcel that is identified as industrial. I met with the applicant and other representatives from IT Industrial, who is proposing to build a commercial development, or should be industrial development, out that area. There's a number of conditions that were part of the development agreement that the applicant wanted clarification. In general, there's nothing majorly different from the original development agreement. These conditions are more clarification that the applicant has requested. One item which I did add is that they will have loading docks that can be seen from Smead Parkway. I asked the applicant if he would provide enhanced landscaping along that area, and he has said that he would. At the last public hearing, there were a number of people who were here to testify. It's my understanding that they did have a neighborhood meeting, and as you can see this evening, there's no one here that's, at least I don't believe anyone is here to speak on this item. If you wish me to go through each item, I can do that. But as I said, the modifications of the development agreement are either better than what the original development agreement had, or they're clarifications of what was recently approved. I would note that on the bottom of page 6, I changed the condition 8.2 to clearly provide direction to this commission. It says, adopt the language within section 2.3 of the staff report as new conditions of the development agreement. It just clarifies the one I had on the staff report. I did send Mr. Lake a copy of the staff report yesterday. I didn't change this condition until this afternoon. So that would be my report, unless you have some additional questions or want me to be, or provide more detail in the modifications.
Would that then be, condition number 8.3?
I just crossed out 8.2.
Okay.
And just modified it.
Modified it, okay. Any, questions for staff?
If I may, so, Director Mapp, so you commented on enhanced, landscaping, is that in this report as well, is that part of the conditions that are noted in here?
It was supposed to be. It's number 18 on page 5.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. You scared me.
Commissioner Zamora is pretty thorough.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And we thank him for it.
Yes. Any other questions for staff? Okay, thank you. And we have our applicant, Aaron Lake. He needs to be sworn.
Are you ready to be sworn in, Mr. Lake?
I am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Does that work?
That works.
All
Okay,
right.
Mr. Lake, go ahead and state your name, your address, and state that you've been sworn.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Lake. My address is 7811 South Cuba in Spokane, Washington, and I have been sworn.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't have any comments unless you have questions.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lake? No questions? All right. We have discussion? There's been no one signed up, we're neutral, or in opposition, or in favor. So we're ready for a decision process.
Should I make a motion to close public testimony?
May,
I move that we close public testimony.
from Commissioner Zamora to close the public testimony. Do I have a second?
I second that motion, we close it.
We have a second from Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
If there's no discussion, we can have motions to continue.
Okay, so sorry, trying to balance the whole thing. I make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission accepts comprehensive plan comments as listed below.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Zamora to accept the comprehensive plan analysis. Do I have a second?
A second.
And we have a second from Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that Planning and Zoning accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence that all adopted state ordinances, standards, and codes for use in evaluating the application.
I second that motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zamora and a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that Planning and Zoning, has the authority to hear the case and order that it be approved or denied. That public notice requirements are met and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho code and city orders.
I second that motion.
And we have a motion by Commissioner Zamora on the conclusions of law, and second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, based on the, findings of fact and conclusion of law, the Planning and Zoning Commission hereby orders that case number AMD 2101, a request by Jennifer Mora and the, North Branch LLC to amend the development agreement that was approved as part of case file number AMD 2101, BBA North Branch LLC preliminary plat. The proposed modification is for a 30-acre parcel that is identified as North Branch Business Park Block 1 in Caldwell, Idaho is approved, with, the following amendment of adopted language in section 2.3 of the staff report as conditions of the development agreement.
Okay, I have
I second that motion.
thank you, we have a motion by Commissioner Zamora, on the order of decision, and a second by Commissioner Slaughter. Yes.
Excuse me, in your motion, could you just add, section 2.3, 1 to 18? That would just identify those conditions.
Mr. Chair,
For the
I'd like
record.
to amend my motion to specify section, 2.3, items 1 through 18.
Okay, we have an amended motion by Commissioner Zamora. Do I have a second?
I second that amended motion.
And a second by Commissioner Slaughter for the order of decision. Can I have roll call, please?
Zamora?
Yes.
Slaughter?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. It's approved. Next item, on our agenda is case number VAR 2101. The housing company is, requesting a variance for relief from the zoning, ordinance street requirements 110302, 14, common driveways, section A and B.
Goodbye.
Requesting to exceed more than 6 units and exceed the length of 150 feet on the internal circulation streets. The property is located in the H&D Hospital District zone on parcel R05861000. Property is located on the southwest corner of West Logan Street and Sunset Avenue. We have staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Katie Phillips, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn in. Before you tonight is a variance request. The subject property is zoned HD Hospital District. The comprehensive plan designation is institutional. In 2019, special use permit approval was received for a 76-unit affordable housing development on the subject property. The request for the variance is to provide relief from City Code, Chapter 11, Article 3, Section 214A, that all driveways shall be a minimum of 24 feet in width and shall serve no more than 6 buildable lots or units. Chapter 11, Article 3, Section 214B, that common driveways shall be a maximum of 150 feet in length. The request for the variance is to exceed the number of units served by the common driveway and to exceed the maximum driveway length. The applicant is proposing a driveway that is approximately 448 feet in length and will serve approximately 58 residential units. Staff is currently working on a new ordinance for multifamily development that will encompass internal circulation routes for the common driveway and the unit served, and the code will alleviate these types of development from the code restrictions that are currently in place. And we have received a late exhibit to enter into the record.
Thank you. Yeah, you all have copies of this, right? Yes.
And I will stand for questions.
Any questions for staff?
I do. So, we did review that ordinance last meeting. So, recognizing that we're not at that ordinance, but if that ordinance were in effect today, would this comply with that ordinance?
It would.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? Okay, and our applicant is Erin Anderson. Is Erin here?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thanks for your time this evening. My name is Erin Anderson. I'm with the housing company. My home address is 2238 North of Stairway in Meridian, and I have been sworn in. As I mentioned, I'm with the housing company. We are the applicant and the proposed developer and owner of the Sunset Landing Apartments project. I also have with me some of our design team members, Jim Glancy with Glancy Rockwell, and Mike Boltman with KM Engineers, our civil engineer. The housing company is a not-for-profit entity that's based in Boise, Idaho, and we were established in 1990. We facilitate the development of new housing in underserved areas. We've developed more than 800 units in 2 dozen affordable rental communities throughout the state of Idaho. The housing company provides professional property management services for affordable apartment communities, serving low-income families, seniors, and the disabled. We own our properties in the long term and take pride in building an asset for the community that will stand the test of time. Our typical length of commitment is 30 years or more. Our nearest developments to the Sunset Landing project include Moon Valley Apartments in Star, Nampa duplexes, and Hazel Park in Caldwell. This is an image of the subject's location, which is at West Logan and bound by West Logan and Sunset. And then on the east side, Kimball. The proposed development has 76 units, 9 one-bedroom, 31 two-bedroom, and 36 three-bedroom, in 10 residential buildings plus 1 clubhouse. The 10 residential buildings are a combination of 2- and 3-story construction, walk-up style, garden style units. Some of the amenities we will be offering at the developments include central air, on-site storage, an attached patio and balcony for each unit, outdoor playground and park amenities, clubhouse with community room for the residents, kitchen and laundry room, on-site professional property management with an office in the clubhouse, and plentiful parking, 117 vehicle parking spaces plus 38 bicycle spaces. Our proposed timeline is to start construction by the end of May of this year, and we have a 15-month construction timeline for completion of the entire project. We're still working out the details if there will be a phased occupancy, but overall it'll take about 15 months. As mentioned, there was an approval granted in 2019 to permit multifamily housing at this location, and then an extension was granted in October of 2020, which required an application for a building permit by April 16th, which we have recently submitted. That's too small for me to read from here, but this is going through the details of our specifics on the variance. So the 150-foot length is a problem for a private driveway situation when you have medium density housing, essentially. You know, if in order to achieve a shorter length private driveway, we'd have to be looking at much higher density, taller construction to achieve the number of units. And so really the goal here was to provide a community, something that integrates in harmony with the community and is of medium and lower density. And in order to achieve that, that means that some of the driveway lengths are longer. And so that's why we need to ask for relief. The proposed private drive is approximately 448 feet long, which is, substantially longer than what city code allows. And the provision regarding the number of addresses per private street, again, is just a general problem for medium density multifamily housing with multiple buildings. So we're asking for relief in both of these areas. And that's actually it, in terms of the presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I do. I'm just curious, so it looks like you had your original SUP in 2019. When did this concern become aware to you that this would be an issue?
It was November of 2020.
How did it come to light to you guys?
It was brought up at a roundtable meeting with city staff.
Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
I do. And, have you met with the fire department and all that? And
Yes, we
this
have.
is all okay with them
Yes,
for access and everything?
we have.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Director?
I just wanted to bring up, this is one of the things we were talking about in the work session, is that as we continue to go through the ordinance, some of these little things pop up.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have to let the developer, know what those issues are. We try to come up with a reasonable solution, and this was, we came up with.
Thank you, Director Matt. Any other questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have one person signed up as neutral, Sandra Fall. Sandra here, did you want to testify?
No, I'm good, thank you.
You're good not to testify? Okay. All right.
Motion to close public testimony.
We have a motion from Commissioner Slaughter to close the public testimony. Do I have a second? Yes.
Excuse me, before you do that.
Yes.
You need to read that, exhibit into the record.
Okay, yeah, we have an additional exhibit, and I'll read that. Hi, Katie. I got other things I had to tend to on Thursday and could not make the meeting with you. I would now offer my thoughts on this variance. I'm not opposed to this development, but would like to see some consideration to the traffic and pedestrian safety this development will create. To that end, I would like to see right and left turn collectors on Sunset and Kimball Streets and sidewalks around the perimeter of this project. Kimball is a collector street and has a four-way stop at the corner of Kimball and Logan Streets. Shortly south of Logan and Kimball, the traffic will likely come to a dead stop when people are entering and exiting this project. I consider these two areas for right and left turn collectors necessary safety concerns. As you know, the general rule is 9 trips in and out of the project for each residence, and with 76 units in this development, that will mean nearly 700 more trips in and out of the project. Sidewalks are a much needed improvement as well for this area. Regards, Paul Aldridge, property owner near this project. We need to mark this as item, PC 1000, thank you. Okay. All right,
Now I make a motion to close public testimony.
I have a motion to close the public testimony. Do I have a second?
I second it.
And we have a second from Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have discussion?
I do think it's relevant, the conversation about sidewalks and whatnot from the last item we read into it, but I do know that in this plan, there's quite a comprehensive requirement for the internal sidewalk structure that's in there, so I hear this person, and I also feel like it's addressed.
I agree.
Exactly how I feel. I appreciate their concerns and recognize that as far as safety goes, the proper steps have been taken to ensure.
Yes. Any other thoughts or concerns? Okay.
A motion for the comprehensive plan analysis. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the comprehensive plan components as listed below.
Okay, I have a motion for the comprehensive plan analysis by Commissioner Slaughter. Do I have a second?
I second.
And I have a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye. And a motion on the findings of fact. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application. The proposed use is conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinance and is subject to conditions of approval.
Okay, it's a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the findings of facts. I have a second.
I second it.
Okay, I have a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor? Aye.
A motion of conclusions of law. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear this case and order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met, and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho code and city ordinances.
I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the conclusions of law. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, and a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And on the order of decision, based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission hereby orders the case number VAR-20-01, a request by the housing company for a variance to provide relief from the zoning ordinance common driveway maximum length requirement of 150 feet and relief from serving no more than 6 buildable lots/units for a multifamily development containing 76 housing units in the HD Hospital District located at the southeast corner of West Logan Street and Sunset Avenue in Caldwell, Idaho, is approved with the following conditions of approval. Read those. Meet code requirements of the Caldwell Fire Department, comply with Caldwell Landscape Ordinance, comply with Caldwell Parking Ordinance, comply with conditions 8.1 through 8.11 of SUP 19-19, and comply with the internal circulation for multifamily development criteria as shown in Exhibit SP-11.
Okay, I have
I think I might need to make an edit.
You do, Commissioner Slaughter. The order of decision should reflect VAR 21-01. You could just correct that into the record, please.
Just make that verbal change.
VAR 21-01, okay.
I have a motion on the order of the decision by Commissioner Slaughter. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. Can we have roll call, please?
Slaughter,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That's true. Okay, the next item on our agenda is, action item SUP 21-000003, a request by Patrick McKeegan Architects on behalf of Nordstrom LLC for special use permit to operate an event center, the Palace Event Center at 815 Arthur Street in Caldwell. The intent is to provide space to serve private businesses and community events such as banquets, forums, high school dances, fundraisers, family reunions, holiday parties, weddings, and I can't say that word. Yes. There has also been mentioned a comedy club. Catered events will have food prepared off-site for service at the event. Any required alcohol service licenses or permits will be the responsibility of the caterers. And can we have a staff report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Katie Phillips, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn in. We are here tonight for the Palace Event Center. The subject property is zoned City Center. Comprehensive plan designation is City Center. An event center requires special use permit approval in the City Center zoning district. The property is located at 815 Arthur Street in downtown Caldwell. The special use permit will be for the ballroom floor of the building. The applicant had previously indicated that the ground level and the third floor will not be utilized as part of the event center. And events that serve food and alcohol will be catered, and the caterers will be responsible for obtaining the liquor and beer licenses. Mr. Matt, do you have anything to add?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I met with the property owner back in April 2019 on this particular site. At the time, the applicant wasn't sure of the uses that would be developed. We walked the property. I've had a chance to see it. The proposal that we're looking at today is based upon preliminary discussions. There's 3 sections, I believe you mentioned, about the comedy club, which I would call the lower level. And that space is considered entertainment, and so it's allowed in the city. The space here we're talking about today, because of, is an event center. It had been an event center in the past, but that use has expired. And so that's why the applicant is coming back, or coming this time for a use permit. There's no sunset to this use if it's approved, unless the applicant ceases operations for a year. Then it becomes non-conforming, and they have to go back through this process again. There's a 3rd floor. It's not part of this application. The applicant has not indicated as part of this application that it be used for anything other than what's allowed by city code and city center. So that's just a brief additional outline from what Katie had mentioned.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
If the property, is sold and a new person purchases it, do they have to resubmit?
No, the special use permit is, goes with the property.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, and we have the applicant, Patrick.
My name is Patrick McKeegan. I'm an architect representing a client in this matter. My address is P.O. Box 5845, Boise, Idaho. I want to give just a little bit of history. The building was built in 1929 by the Elks, who sometime later sold it to the Eagles, who operated it until I think about 5 or 6 years ago. And like a lot of fraternal organizations, declining, it's just a whole different thing from people today. They just aren't getting memberships and stuff. A gentleman bought the building, and he applied for a special use permit for the whole facility and was granted that special use permit. And we knew about that when Miguel was looking at the building. What we did not realize is that we had to purchase a building within a certain time frame in order to have that, to maintain that, for us to pick up that. We missed that by 4 months. So really what we're here is we're just asking for, basically, if we would have purchased a building, if we would have got the building 4 months earlier, and we would have been quick about it, and smart enough, we would have known that we wouldn't even be here. But anyway, this is just kind of a continued use. I found it interesting that during the neighborhood meeting, just about everybody that was there had either been to a prom, a high school graduation, a wedding, a birthday party at that facility. So it's played an important part in the city. And I think that downtown needs a place like that. We talked about different uses for it. Miguel was really on the fence about, what are we gonna do with this if we buy it? Are we gonna divide it into, take that big, beautiful ballroom space and make it into 2-story apartments? Are we gonna, gonna put skylights in, or is somebody gonna come along and wants to use it as it's used? And luckily, we've been able to find people, that are wanting to do that. They recognize that it's a viable part of having a downtown use. We think it'll be a very integral part, with the rest of the redevelopment coming in downtown. I could see events happening at the, open area, the ice rink is, in tandem with this. There could be people who could have events at both places, indoor and outdoor. And as somebody mentioned, one of the letters that were submitted for testimony, it'll bring people downtown that normally wouldn't have a reason to come downtown, that may not have been downtown, that don't realize how much downtown Caldwell has changed in the last 5 years or a decade. It's really been you guys have done a tremendous job here in town. And we want to be just a part of it, and it's a historic building. If you haven't been in it, it's a very elegant, regal space. It's a classic 1929 fraternal organization building, and we're maintaining all of that. We're not taking any of that out. We've been refinishing the floors, cleaning it up. We're bringing the restrooms up to current standards, so we have accessible restrooms, and we have the proper number of restrooms for the number of occupants for the space, to make it a viable facility. On down the line, we're going to be looking at some potential other upgrades that we need to really get opening and get some cash flow going and stuff. And with that, I just ask for your approval, and would stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions for Patrick? All right, thank you very much. We had one person sign up in favor, Luis. I can't check the name. Luis here?
I hear it.
Did you want to testify?
No.
Okay, say your last name again.
A-T-U-I-R-R-A.
Okay, thank you, Luis. All right, any other questions before we move forward? Okay.
Motion to close public testimony?
Okay, I have a motion from Commissioner Slaughter to close the public testimony. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
It seems pretty straightforward to me. It's kind of the same use as it has been. I recognize in the packet there was somebody concerned with parking, but I think that's going to be a concern regardless of any business in the downtown area. I stand in favor of it.
And I think, and there's sufficient parking in back behind that they've created as well. So additional parking than what has been there in the past when it's been used, so I agree with that. Any other discussion? Okay,
I make a motion for the comprehensive plan analysis, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the comprehensive plan components as listed below.
Second.
okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter and a second by Commissioner Zamora for the comprehensive plan analysis. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For the findings of fact, I make a motion for the findings of fact, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application. The proposed use is conditionally permitted by the terms of the ordinance and is subject to conditions of approval.
Okay, with a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the findings of fact, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor? Aye.
Make a motion for the conclusions of law. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear this case and order that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met and the hearing was conducted within the guidelines of applicable Idaho code and city ordinances.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on conclusions of law. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Zamora. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion for the order of decision based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law. Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission hereby orders that case number SUP 21-00003, a request by Patrick McKeegan for a special use permit for an event center located at 815 Arthur Street, Caldwell, Idaho, CC City Center zone is approved with the following conditions of approval if approved.
You could just say
8.2
through 8.8.
through 8.8.
Yes. Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the order of decision. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Zamora. Can I have roll call, please?
Slaughter,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's approved. Okay, the next item on our agenda, moving right along, is action item ANN 21000002, SUB 21-02, a request by Tim Makwa, on behalf of Hayden Homes LLC for annexation of 10.08 acres for the purpose of developing a proposed low-density residential subdivision. Concurrently, a request for the approval of the preliminary plat for Autumn Ridge East subdivision with 30 residential lots. The request for annexation and development will be subject to a development agreement. The subject to property, R352-29010, is located at 1,800 feet west of North KCID Road on the north side of Marble Front Road in Caldwell, Idaho. Can we have staff report?
Thank you, Commission. Debbie Root, Senior Planner, 621 Cleveland Boulevard, and I have been sworn. As indicated, we are here to consider an annexation and preliminary plat for Autumn Ridge East. The subject property is currently located in the county, but adjacent to the Caldwell city limits on the southern border. And the comprehensive plan indicates that the property is low-density residential. The applicant has applied for annexation as R1 low-density residential zoning, which staff is in concurrence with. The preliminary plat development for Autumn Ridge East is, 10.08 acres with 30 residential lots. The, development has complied with the landscaping and open space requirements with qualifying open space meeting 7%. The lots within this development range from 16,000 plus square feet down to just over 8,000 square feet. The dimensional standards for R1 low density residential are a minimum 8,000 square foot lots and 9,500 square foot lots on corners. And, the proposed preliminary plat complies with those requirements for dimensional standards and, for open space and landscape plan, which is, actually only requires 6%, and they're, at 7%. The Mason Creek drainage, which lies to the north of these properties, is not adjacent to the property. There is a, privately owned piece of property that somewhat looks like a spearhead in between there. And therefore, the developer, in order to comply with the, bike and ped plan, pathways plan, we, discussed doing detached sidewalks along, Marble Front Road to provide those pathway connections where they don't have the adjacency to the drainage. And the developer has provided that, those detached sidewalks along that frontage. Staff is recommending approval of the annexation as R1 low-density residential zoning and, approval of the preliminary plat as provided for. And I'll stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I do. So in the report, and that's my for engineer, city engineer, but there's a comment, on out parcel code page 66. So there's discussion of the out parcel, specifically if the property owner, would not dedicate a sufficient amount for the right of way, that full improvement couldn't occur. So I guess my question is, what are the implications if, the full improvement couldn't occur?
Thank you, Commissioner Zamora. The standard city policy that we follow on that is the city tries to acquire that right of way for an out parcel that may be adjacent to a subdivision or even within a subdivision. In this case here, this is referring to the piece that straddles the two different developments. In the case that the city cannot achieve that and obtain that right away from the property owner, then the developer is not obligated to do those improvements because they would be improving on someone else's property. And so we can't force a developer to make improvements or be held up by a third party, potentially. What we can do is make these requirements, and then we make our best effort to acquire the right of way. If right of way cannot be acquired, in some cases, there still are improvements that can be made within the prescriptive right of way, which amounts to about 25 feet from center line, but in some cases that doesn't work either. So that's kind of how we run through it. Does that answer your question?
Partly, yes. So just, are there, with this development, would there be negative implications if that full right of way isn't acquired?
I don't think there wouldn't be negative implications from a traffic standpoint. You're still going to have, two lanes of traffic, one in each direction on Marble Front Road. The negative aspect usually comes in the form of not having a sidewalk that's contiguous between the two sides. And so that's one of the reasons why we try to push to get that completed. But it's not going to have a huge negative impact on traffic flow, for example. And I think that's really what it comes down to. It's usually the pedestrian access that suffers in that situation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for staff? All right, our applicant is Tim Makwa.
Good evening. My name's Tim Makwa. I'm with Hayden Homes, 1406, North Main Street, Meridian, 83642. Okay. So, I acknowledge I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna take a whole lot of time. I think, as usual, Debbie did a great job. Thank you. This is just a current aerial that we have of the property. As you can see, so this is the east portion. The property that we're talking about that is between the two subdivisions. You can see this green field, this is the west. Autumn Ridge, this is east. This is the property in between that, there's kind of a T that goes all the way down to Mason Creek. So we did have conversations with this property owner, in trying to, acquire an easement across here for sewer and water. There was discussion, I believe, of additional right-of-way here. They weren't interested at that time. That's not to say that with the city reaching out, they may be now. But we accept that condition that if the city is able to get additional right-of-way, we would build those improvements across here. And again, to be clear, we're only talking about this 100 feet or so. I mean, we're still building all the frontage improvements along our property. Debbie covered the comp plan. It is low-density residential in this area. This is the Marble Front. I believe this is Marble Front East, is a trilogy or CBH, and this is Marble Front West. So we are contiguous with city annex property. Comp plan is low density, surrounded by, quite a bit of R1. So our requested annexation and density or zone is compatible and consistent with the surrounding area. That shows the zoning. This is our Boyage Crossing project here, which was an R2. The rest of this you can see is R1, R2, this is Autumn Ridge East, Autumn Ridge West here. The project itself, as Debbie mentioned, we're meeting all of the dimensional, setback, lot size requirements of the R1 zone. This is a little graphic to show where our common area is. We've got a kind of a large open active area here. We're also proposing a patio, or that's a tot lot in here. Quite a bit of landscaping. The detached pathway along Marble Front. This is just our qualifying open space calculation, which again met code. And a little enlargement of our landscape common area. So pretty straightforward. We have access to utilities and we're contiguous, and I think this proposed use fits right in with the comp plan. So I ask for your approval and stand for questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant, Mr. Makwa?
I have a question about aesthetics. Do you build a wall, a concrete wall there in between, or is it just regular fencing?
In between?
Between the residence and the T lot there, so just on the edge there.
So on our perimeter, on the entire subdivision perimeter, we'll have a 6-foot solid vinyl fence.
Okay.
So it would be on both sides, and so their driveway would continue to basically go down the middle where it does now between these two properties, and they have fence on either side.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Makwa? Okay, thank you very much. In favor, we have John Carpenter signed up. Did you want to speak? No, I don't have anything else to add. Okay, thank you. And neutral, we have Cindy Simpson. Okay, thank you very much, okay? Do I have a motion to close public testimony?
Motion to close public testimony?
Okay, and I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter to close public testimony. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion?
I think it's pretty
Yeah, it was pretty cut and dry.
Straightforward, yeah.
If you're ready, I'll make a motion.
We're ready.
Right. And a motion that the Colorado Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence that has all adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes are used in evaluating the application.
Commissioner Samar, this will be from the county.
Just modify your motion for the comprehensive plan.
Sorry, there's a couple pages.
Number 5.
No, you said there's spelling?
Yeah, basically first.
Okay.
I think it's page 9.
The Colorado Planning and Zoning accepts commission accepts the comprehensive plan components as listed below, specific to annexation.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora for the comprehensive plan analysis. Annexation, do I have a second?
Yes, second.
I have a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion, for the fact finding of annexation, the Colorado Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list, all adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora for the findings of fact annexation. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion of conclusion to law for annexation, the Colorado Planning and Zoning, Commission has the authority to hear the case and recommend to the city council that it be approved or denied, the public notice requirements were met, and the hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearing was held and accepted under the requirements by a code and city ordinances.
Okay, I have a motion on the conclusions of law by Commissioner Zamora. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, and we have a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And based on the fact that, the findings of fact and the conclusion of law, the Planning and Zoning Commission hereby recommends to the mayor and city council that case number AN 20-0000002, a request by Hayden Homes to annex 10.08 acres, more or less, with an R1 low density residential zoning designation for the property R35229010 Marble Front Road in Caldwell, Idaho is approved with conditions of approval in section 9.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
I made the same error as Katie did, and that needs to be ANN 21-000002.
Okay,
I will modify my motion to incorporate what Ms. Roots has said.
all right. And we have a modified motion by Commissioner Zamora for the recommendation annexation. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And I have a second by Commissioner Slaughter. Can I have roll call, please?
Samara?
Yes.
Slaughter?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And our last item of agenda, on the agenda, is also a request by,
No, you have to do the preliminary plat.
pardon me?
You have to go through all the preliminary
Oh, I'm sorry. So, okay, so, on number 10, yes. So we have to have motions on, 10 as well.
I will make a motion for a comprehensive plan analysis preliminary plan, that the, Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the comprehensive plan component as listed below item 10.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora for the comprehensive plan analysis preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And I have a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor? Aye.
I motion the fact finding the preliminary plan, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence that all adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application.
I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora on the findings of fact for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I motion that the, I make a motion in regards to conclusion of law with the preliminary plat, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear the case and recommend to the Caldwell City Council that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met, and the hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearing was held and conducted under the requirements of Idaho Code and city ordinances.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zamora on the conclusions of law for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And a second by Commissioner Slaughter. All in favor?
Based on the facts and findings and the conclusion of law, the Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission hereby recommends to the mayor and city council the case number, SC 21T-02, a request by Hayden Homes for preliminary plat approval for Autumn Ridge East subdivision consisting of 10.08 acres more or less to be subdivided into 30 residential lots for the property R35229010, 0 Marlboro Front Road in Caldwell, Idaho is approved with the conditions, listed in item number 5, or excuse me, item number 15.
15.
Report.
Thank you. So I have a motion by Commissioner Zamora on the recommendation for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
And a second by Commissioner Slaughter. Can I have a roll call, please?
Zamora?
Yes.
Slaughter?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Harmon?
Yes.
Okay. So our final item on the agenda is action item ANN 21000003 SUB 21P 03, a request by Tim Machwa on behalf of Hayden Homes, Idaho LLC, for an annexation of 10.62 acres on, for the purpose of developing a proposed low-density residential subdivision. Concurrently, a request for approval of a preliminary plat for Autumn Ridge West subdivision with 27 residential lots. The request for annexation and development will be subject to a development agreement. The subject property, R35229, is located approximately 660 feet east of Mason Road on the north side of Marble Front Road, Caldwell, Idaho. Staff?
Thank you, Commission. As indicated, we are here to consider an annexation request and a preliminary plat request for Autumn Ridge West, which is just west of Autumn Ridge East. As indicated, the comp plan designation for this property is low-density residential. The applicant has applied for a zoning designation of R1, low-density residential, which is consistent with the comprehensive plan components as listed in the staff report, and staff concurs with the request for that thing. The Autumn Ridge West contains 27 residential lots. It has 8.97% qualifying open space, meets the landscape requirements. The applicant, as with the Autumn Ridge East, is providing detached sidewalks along the frontage of Marble Front Road. But on Autumn Ridge West, they're also providing a pathway connection, which will eventually tie back into any, linear pathway along the Mason Creek Drain to the northwest corner of the property. And so they're providing that pathway down the easement with the Solomon Drain that runs along that western boundary. And therefore meeting the requirements of the bike and ped plan and the landscape code within the subdivision ordinance and the city zoning ordinances. Again, the lot sizes are meeting the dimensional standards as required by the code, and staff is recommending approval of the annexation and the preliminary plat as presented.
Thank you. Any, questions for staff? All right, and, our applicant that's, is again Tim Lockwood.
Tim Makwa again with Hayden Homes, 1406 North Main Street, Meridian, 83642. Similar to the last one, I think, Ms. Root covered it fairly well. So I'm not gonna take a whole lot of your time. One thing I did wanna point out, we are aligning, this is a small portion of Collector Road along the east boundary of Autumn Ridge West that aligns with the extension of Smead Parkway to the south. So eventually, you know, with the thought that, you know, you build collectors along your frontage as you go along. I don't know what the future entails for this property down here. There's quite a bit of slope, so at some point that could be extended. Other than that, I really don't have a lot to add. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, this one, contiguous with city annex ground. We're proposing to annex with an R1 zone, and our subdivision meets all of the lot dimensional setback requirements. I have no objection to any of the recommended conditions of approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Makwa. Any, questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And again, we have John Carpenter signed up. You're good? And Cindy Simpson also signed up. You're good? Or would you like?
I just have one.
Okay.
Cindy Simpson, 4500 Marble Front Road, and I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I don't know if this pertains to this meeting, but I live at the corner there, just across from that subdivision. It would be the southeast section. And I don't know what the traffic pattern is as far as stop signs and stuff at those intersections where the subdivisions are coming in. I know in the east subdivision, it looks like it's lining up with the adjacent subdivision across Marble Front. But is it just 2 ways, 4 ways?
Thank you. Good question. Currently Marble Front is a through, corridor that does not have any stop signs on it. And so these would be 2-way stops. At this location here, where Smead runs south, it comes up to a stop sign, and then the north section would also have a stop sign. And then at the other location as well, the east development, they're gonna have a stop sign coming out of their subdivision, but Marble Front will not have a stop sign.
Okay, is that like a traffic flow study that determines when 4-way stops come in, or? My concern is just all the school children that are gonna be coming through the area, and I don't know if you guys are ever out there, but those are like
raceways right now, and Sneed should be called,
Yes, could I have you talk on the microphone?
Sneed
Thank you.
Parkway should be called Sneed Raceway, because it's just a concern with the traffic and stuff, and the safety.
Yeah, and I can address that. We monitor the streets, as best we can, and there are safety issues all over Caldwell. Typically a four-way stop, requires a warrant, and that's a study that's done that complies with engineering standards and practices to be able to determine that stop signs are required. It's not appropriate to go put stop signs up at any location. There has to be a reason. And so we're always looking at that, and if there was ever a time where it was warranted to have a four-way stop out here, or some other type of intersection control, then we would start planning in that direction. Sneed, the benefit of Sneed now is that it has a roundabout in there, and that helps slow traffic down, south of Marble Front here, and so, we keep our eye on that, and we try to adjust as, growth occurs.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Do I have a motion to close public testimony?
So moved.
I have a motion by Alex Amar to close public, testimony. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second by, Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any discussion?
Comes to mind.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion on comprehensive planning analysis, annexation.
Got it.
I make a motion, I hope I'm on the right one. I make a motion to, for the comprehensive plan analysis, annexation, Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the comprehensive plan components as listed below in, section 5 there.
Okay, I have a motion, for the comprehensive plan analysis, by Commissioner Slaughter. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have a motion for the findings of fact annexation. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the findings of fact for annexation. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A motion for the conclusions of law annexation. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear this case and recommend to the Caldwell City Council that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met. The hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearing was held and conducted under the requirements of Idaho Code and city ordinances.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the conclusions of law annexation. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I make a motion for recommendation for the annexation based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission hereby recommends to the mayor and city council that case number ANN 21-0000003, a request by Hayden Homes to annex 10.62 acres, more or less, with an R1 low-density residential zoning designation for the property R35229 Marble Front Road in Caldwell, Idaho, is approved with the conditions of approval in section 9.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the recommendation for annexation. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. Can I have roll call, please?
Slaughter,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Zamora,
Yes.
Okay, and I'm ready for a motion on a comprehensive plan analysis, preliminary plat.
Make a motion on the comprehensive plan analysis for the preliminary plat. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the comprehensive plan components as listed below. Section 10.
Thank you. I have a, motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the comprehensive plan analysis for the preliminary plat. I don't know why I can't say that word. Do I have a second?
Second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on the findings of fact for the preliminary plat. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission accepts the facts outlined in the staff report, public testimony, and the evidence list. All adopted city ordinances, standards, and codes were used in evaluating the application.
Okay, I have a, motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the findings of fact for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye. I make a motion for the conclusions of law preliminary plat. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission has the authority to hear this case and recommends to the Caldwell City Council that it be approved or denied. The public notice requirements were met, the hearing was legally noticed and posted, and the hearings were held and conducted under the requirements of Idaho Code and city ordinances.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter for the conclusions of law for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second by Commissioner Harmon. All in favor?
Aye. Make a motion for recommendation of the preliminary plat based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law. The Caldwell Planning and Zoning Commission hereby recommends to the mayor and city council the case number SUB-21P-03, a request by Hayden Homes for preliminary plat approval of Autumn Ridge West subdivision consisting of 10.62 acres, more or less, to be subdivided into 27 residential lots for the property R35229 Marble Front Road in Caldwell, Idaho, is approved with the conditions of approval below. And that's section 15.1 through 15.11.
Thank you. I have a motion by Commissioner Slaughter on the recommendation for the preliminary plat. Do I have a second?
I second.
And a second by Commissioner Harmon. May I have a roll call, please?
Slaughter,
Yes.
Harmon,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Mora,
Yes.
All right. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Our next meeting is scheduled for June the 8th. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion for adjournment by Commissioner Zamora. Do I have a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. We're adjourned.